where the Ayatollah, the supreme leader of Iran, would be killed in such violent circumstances?
Well, this is the situation now. Of course, it's a different day in Tehran, a different day in Iran, and a different day in the region. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has been the leader of the Islamic Revolution for around since 1989. This is around 26 years. And of course, he witnessed a lot of events and changes, and actually the rise of the Islamic Republic in the region, and intervention, wars. So this is a moment that personally I did not see it coming this way, but it's clear that he lived his life as a revolutionary. He was maybe the second or the third president in the history of the Islamic Republic, the second supreme leader. Before that, he was a dissident, he was an opposition figure, jailed, also went through several assassination attempts, and now he's announced as the second leader of Iran, and of course now he is being presented as the martyr of the Islamic Revolution.
That word is very important, isn't it? For legacy, for the Ayatollah, the supreme leader. If he's called a martyr, that means people will rally around him, because this is an unjustified injustice that the Iranian supporters of him will see. It's an incredibly careful word that they've used, right?
Probably if I'm to get into Ali Khamenei's mind, he would love to be given such an end as a martyr, as the Iranian television announced him. Given the fact all the phases he passed through, and there are people who view him in a positive way. There are people who view him in a very negative way. But at the end, you cannot go away from the idea that he was, to the Islamic Republic and the Islamic Revolution, he was a kind of a very centric and instrumental personality before the revolution and after the revolution.
Stay there, because we will come back to you in just a second. I want to go to Tawhid Asadi, who's joining us live from Tehran. Tawhid, you've been listening to that statement on Iranian state television. Just take us through what was said.
Well, the gist of the matter is that after hours following the announcement and reports coming from the United States and Israeli sources, and after the U.S. president saying that the Iranian supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is dead, now we've got the confirmation from the state TV of the country that this death has been confirmed. So right now we can say that Iran's supreme leader is killed, is dead, and that is opening a very new phase of developments, domestically speaking, of course, when it comes to the foreign relations of the country. Speaking of the context, we know that earlier we yesterday heard reports of massive explosions being heard in Pastor neighborhood, an area in which the office of Supreme Leader and the office of Iranian President was located. Initial reports, initial statements coming from Tehran were on the basis of denial of reports related to the killing of Iran's supreme leader. But right now we've got the confirmation, and that opens a mechanism, that opens a sort of actually trajectory for appointment of a new leader. And then that, if I may, I can explain that according to the Article 111 of the Iranian Constitution, now there is going to be a council of 3 people: Iranian president, head of the judiciary, as well as 1 cleric from the Guardian Council, running the country for a short period of time until the next leader is appointed. And on that, we know that the Assembly of Experts, or as they say in Persian, the Majlis Khabregan, are going to make a decision on the appointment of the new leader. This is the process that over the past over the next few days we are going to experience. But no doubt this is a game changer and there are going to be repercussions, and we're following to see how future could unfold in that regard.
Stay there, because I will come back to you. I want to go to Ali Hashim right now. We've got to talk about succession right now. Now, Shia Islam is very hierarchical. One of the best examples of that is Hezbollah. We went from Hassan Nasrallah, the leader, the Secretary General of Hezbollah, all the way to Naim Qassem within days. The succession's been talked about. Tawheed was just mentioning there the Assembly of Experts. There is a process for all of this, but it's always a fool's game to try and figure out who might be the successor. But in this current situation, whoever takes over the role is not going to be in the mood to negotiate with the Americans. He's going to be a lot more hardline, right?
Well, absolutely. Now, with the leader of the Islamic Republic and the Islamic Revolution killed by the Americans and the Israelis, the next leader is going to have to stand still and to be resilient when it comes to how to deal with the Americans. And this is one of the issues, that how the direction will be. Will it be a direction towards a revolutionary leader, a leader who is going to adhere more and more to the Islamic Republic and the Islamic Revolution? And you know, there are several influences in who the leader will be, because we have the security layer, we have the clerical layer, we have also the narrative layer. We start from the narrative layer with this leader ending up as a martyr.
Well, let's talk about his life. Let's talk about his life. Let's talk about what his legacy actually is. We are now going to go to an obituary, which has been put together by Victoria Gatenby, taking a look back at his life.
Born into a clerical family, Ali Khamenei studied at the religious seminary in Qom under the most prominent Shia scholars of the day, including Ruhollah Khomeini, who would later be the leader of the Iranian Revolution. Influenced by Khomeini's revolutionary ideas, Khamenei actively participated in anti-monarchy protests starting from 1963. He became a leading figure in establishing a new Iran after the monarchy was deposed in 1979. When the Iran-Iraq war broke out in 1980, the young Islamic Republic was struggling to establish itself, both domestically and internationally. In 1981, Khamenei, a fiery orator in support of Khomeini, won the presidency. Throughout the 8-year war with Iraq, he frequently visited the front lines, earning the loyalty of the Revolutionary Guards. Iran was internationally isolated and economically devastated when Ayatollah Khomeini died in 1989. Hashemi Rafsanjani, one of the Islamic Republic's founding fathers, urged the Assembly of Experts to appoint Khamenei as the new supreme leader.
I told Mr. Hashemi Rafsanjani that I would not accept this. I believe I do not deserve this position. Perhaps you and I know this. This would be symbolic leadership, not real leadership.
But his leadership has been anything but symbolic. In the early 1990s, Khamenei focused on reviving Iran's economy. Iran began to reclaim a broader regional role after American military intervention in Iraq in 1991 that significantly weakened Iran's arch-enemy, Iraq's President Saddam Hussein. In 2003, the United States invaded Iraq again and deposed Saddam Hussein, giving Iran the opportunity to establish allied groups in Iraq. When the Arab Spring erupted in 2010, Iran supported Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's military suppression of the opposition, and its influence expanded in Syria, Iraq, Lebanon and Yemen, which Iran refers to as the axis of resistance. At home, Khamenei favoured conservative presidents throughout his tenure, but he frequently found himself at odds with presidents in a power struggle. Khamenei's leadership faced its strongest challenge during the 2009 presidential election, when many took to the streets for months claiming the election was rigged. The country faced socio-political tension and economic devastation as Western sanctions devastated its economy. Barack Obama's presidency raised hopes for improved ties. In 2015, Khamenei authorized then-President Hassan Rouhani to sign a nuclear deal with world powers, most notably the United States. under which Iran agreed to reduce its uranium enrichment in exchange for the lifting of Western sanctions. But the US withdrew from the agreement in 2018 under President Trump. Khamenei then directed officials to accelerate Iran's missile and nuclear programs. In 2020, the United States assassinated Qasem Soleimani, a staunch Khamenei supporter and commander of Iran's Quds forces, further deteriorating Iran's relations with the West. Amidst the economic crisis, discontent continued in Iran. In 2022, nationwide protests against Mahsa Amini's death in police custody after she was accused of violating the mandatory hijab laws were one of Khamenei's biggest challenges. After the Hamas-led attack on October 7, 2023, Israel targeted Iranian officials, including its embassy in Damascus, in April 2024. Iran responded by launching hundreds of drones into Israeli territory. In the following months, Israel assassinated Hamas's political bureau chief, Ismail Haniyeh, in Tehran and killed Hassan Nasrallah, the Secretary General of Hezbollah and Iran's most important ally in the region. Iran retaliated by firing nearly 200 ballistic missiles at Israel. A ceasefire was implemented after 12 days. Khamenei called for regional cooperation to stop Israel.
The policies adopted by our enemy are to sow the seeds of division and sedition, to drive a wedge among all the Muslims. They are the enemies of the Palestinians, Lebanese, Egyptians, Yemenis, Syrians and Iraqis.
Tensions flared up again after protests broke out in Iran in December 2025, first against the plummeting currency, then anti-government protests spread across the country. President Trump said he would attack Iran if it executed hundreds of protesters. Washington began a rapid and large-scale military build-up in the region, and Ayatollah Khamenei warned that any military conflict would not be contained within Iran's borders.
To anyone who seeks to attack, the Iranian nation will deliver a strong blow. Americans should also know that if they start a war this time, it will be a regional war.
Weeks of diplomatic effort to de-escalate followed, with Oman mediating 3 rounds of indirect talks between the US and Iran. Iran had proposed a deal authorized by Khamenei, but on the eve of further talks, Israel and the US attacked Iran. With the assassination of Ayatollah Khamenei, Iran now stands at a historic crossroads, facing a future without the man who had guided the nation through turbulent times for decades.